Has the market crashed? Are tariffs destroying the classic car market? Or are classic cars a great hedge against everything that's going on? We're going to talk about that. Plus, look who's in the middle, guys. That is Ali Khalil from Dodi's. Let's get to it. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. All right, boom, we are getting it going. Hello, everybody. We are live tonight a little early because we have a very special guest tonight. Before we get to that, my name is John Polnick. I am your host, coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, as well as my partner, Michael Deeb, way over there on the left side of your screen. He is in San Francisco, and in the middle, as advertised, you've got Ali Khalil from Dodi Auto Sales. You are on location in Monterey, is that correct? Ali?
Yes, I'm at the shop right now.
Yeah. So Ali's working two car deals while he does the show with us right now. I promise you. Listen, Ali, thank you so much for jumping on the show with us. It's really wonderful to have you. As I mentioned to you on the phone, I happen to be very close friends with Dick McClure. Dick McClure happens to be very good friends with Wayne Carini, and Dick McClure and Wayne Carini, I know for a fact, love and adore your father, Dodi, and they're old friends of his, and have an annual pilgrimage to come and visit the store every year for the last, I don't know, how long they've been doing that, like 20 years or something, right?
Long time now. It's been almost 20 years, and yeah, they are close friends.
Yeah.
I could say they're one of the closest to the shop and my dad.
That's awesome. So without further ado, Ali, we had, we were covering a bunch of cars, and it came to our attention that an SC coupe that was here in the Bay Area had gone up for sale on Bring a Trailer. The guy was kind of getting crushed in the comments and decided to sell the car offline, and he sold the car to you. And of course, we reported on that simply because, when we do the show, we've been doing the show for 4 going on 5 years now, and the majority of the cars that we cover are on Bring a Trailer. And as we've been watching the show literally closely twice a week or more for the last 5 years, we've never seen a car deal go sideways like that while the live auction the clock was still ticking. But our audience in the Bid Nerds who follow you and social media knew that you had already procured the car from the client who decided to sell it privately to you, and had sort of abandoned the auction and had not yet gotten permission from Bring a Trailer to terminate the auction, but he had already transacted with you. Now, we were just reported on that because we'd never seen anything like it. And of course, that all happened here in Northern California. To my right, you are sitting to the south, and to my left, up to the northeast, is where that car was located. Listen, it's a free market. We're all for it. If you get a chance to buy a car, make a deal, and turn a profit, that's what keeps the lights on. That's what keeps the pita bread fresh in the oven. So talk to me, Ali. What happened? What was your side of the story? Because our audience was riveted by this unusual thing.
Yeah.
Tell us what was. Tell us what it was like from your end. Obviously, when we reported on it, we got a visceral reaction from our audience. There's half the audience that know and love you, and the other half that maybe don't understand you or the business as well. So it was JP's idea he said, call Ali and see if he'll come on the show. And I couldn't wait to dial you, and here you are being such a good sport. So Ali, give us a quick synopsis of what happened on your end.
Of course. So one of the main reasons why I came on the show was to clear this up, and then maybe to clear up any misconception. But this is a simple story. I get calls all the time for Porsches. So the guy calls me, and he says he has a car for sale. I didn't know it was on Bring a Trailer, and I drove 4 hours to above Santa Rosa. What's that area called? It's far from where I am.
Davis, Sacramento area, yeah.
You were doing a run to the guys up there. Is that a side business, like going up to the north? What do they got? Humboldt up there, Murder Mountain. They've got I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm always
up there.
Yeah,
I'm always driving everywhere, but that was one of them. So I get a call, and I drive there, and I'm looking at the car, and I'm just talking about history. He's owned it for 33 years, and by the way, we're outside Wells Fargo, so he's ready to sell it. And we get to talking, and this is all recorded on video. Of course, we take videos of all the sales that we go through. In the midst of the conversation, he says, "Yeah, it's on some platform, Bring a Trailer or something, and it's live right now." I mean, what do you do in my position? So I'm like, okay, it's live in auction, and I don't know what repercussions you have, but I drove 4 hours for a car. So he was fed up with it. He didn't want to deal with. He's old school, and nothing to him. He's a very nice guy too.
Ali, I'm going to interrupt for just 2 seconds here. What do you mean he was over it? Like, what was he over? Did he tell you what his problem was with his experience on BAT? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to clear that up.
No, it's okay. You got to keep in mind these are older guys. Sometimes they get into something they're not too familiar with, and they just what they're looking for is a straightforward deal. They're not looking to answer a million questions. They don't want to, if you talk to them in a different way, they might get offended. So he got into something he wasn't too familiar with, and he was over the comments. He had his feelings hurt about it, and he didn't want to deal with the whole platform. Now, I wasn't aware of that prior to making the 4-hour drive. When I got there, he told me. But in my defense, it's I guess you can call it, he decided to do that. I didn't convince him. I was already there, and it's a deal that was in front of me. And I'm sorry, but I think
I don't think you have anything to apologize in that regard.
No way.
If the seller,
absolutely not.
There's people who wanted the car too, but in my defense, I think anyone else would have done the same thing. You made that long drive. You're committed to buy it, and the guy wants to sell it. Doesn't not want to deal with Bring a Trailer anymore. He was fed up with it. So, and nothing to him. Also, you guys got to keep in mind, you're talking about an older gentleman who's just looking to sell his car. He's not looking to answer a bunch of questions. When you do Bring a Trailer, you got to do it right, and he wasn't prepared for that. That's one of the things. So that's the story. And, people understand, some people won't, but that's the true story.
Yeah, no, listen, you drove 4 hours. You got to meet a man on the side of the road with a nice car and a title in hand. You transact. You don't, you're not going to run around and say, is there somebody I can apologize before I do this? Nobody would think like that,
I think the big thing that clears a lot up is the question of whether or not you, Ollie, knew that the car was listed on the auction site before you went up. And it sounds like you acted in good faith. Guy calls you, says, I want to sell my car. You make the trip. You get there. You find out after the fact that the car is already listed on the platform. As far as I'm concerned, there's zero for you to apologize for. If, on the other hand, you knew that it was listed and you're like, oh, maybe I can go up there and snake it before someone else gets a chance to bid on it, that would be a completely different story. And I assume you would agree with that, Ollie, if someone else had done that?
I think, once the car is on the live auction, I mean, what are you doing getting involved in it? If I had known prior, maybe I would have not went. But I have nice thing is everything's on video with me. So you can see the reaction on my face when he said it's live on Bring a Trailer. I'm looking like this. I'm like, Bring a Trailer? What are you talking about? About you're buying the car.
But at least it wasn't P-Car Market.
There's a weird one.
That is it. So anyone who doubts it can come to the shop and I'll show them the video. But that's the true story. So,
Ali,
I've never done that before.
You seem to get a lot of it seems like, because I usually, when I see your content, it's almost always on Instagram and it's almost always silent. Like I never watch any video on Instagram with the sound on. So half the time I just see you in that kind of like William H. Macy, used car sales guy, like you're just kind of like standing there waiting for the guy to say something because you're dealing with like this, like everybody you buy from is a boomer or older. They're like greatest generation. How do you deal with guys from a generation or 4 or 5 that are much older than you? How have you developed this rapport with those guys?
Well, what to keep in mind, most guys who have Porsches and most guys who have these classic cars, they're older people. So I deal with young guys and old guys, but majority of people are just older that have these cars. And there's a misconception that these old guys are dumb. I don't know where someone got that from. These guys are smart and they're not giving the cars away. And when you go there, it's shrewd negotiation. I mean, you got to do what you can to get the deal so you can turn a profit. But there's always a concept or misconception that there's an old man and he doesn't know what it's worth and you're going to get it for free. Yeah, it's rarely the case. You're never getting smoke a deal.
Yeah. Pride from his cold dead hands, right?
That's what everyone thinks. And that's about it. And we do all these videos, whatnot, and people seem to dig them. And obviously they follow us and keep up with it. And it's a good way to just keep content flowing. And it's hard to make these videos.
Quick question, Ali, and we'll jump right into the show. Have you sold the Gold SC yet, or is it still in inventory?
No, it's sold.
That's
sold already.
Congratulations.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
we go. All right, and that it is. And put a fine print point on that. That deal is done.
That
Very
deal
nice.
is done, yeah.
All right, well, let's move on here. We opened up the show with the idea of, everybody's talking about tariffs. This show is live on a Sunday night, so most people are going to be watching this early in the week. This Monday, everyone's watching all markets, whether it's crypto, Dow Jones, all the markets. And, this is, when it comes down to it, classic cars really are a vertical, right? This is another market sector. Yeah. This is an asset class, and people are constantly asking us, are classic cars going to go up in value, or are they going to go down in value, or the tariffs going to raise prices, or are they going to lower prices? Ali, have you seen a reaction in the market on the ground? What are people telling you when they come on to your dealership as they call you to sell their cars? Or is all of this stuff relevant, or what's your take on that? Or do you have one?
Not necessarily. I haven't felt the tariffs or any economical differences. What I do see in the market is a lot of the older Porsches, as you guys know, the values are going down for the 60s, some of the 70s. When you start getting to G bodies and up, the value's still there. But I think the newer generation wants later model Porsches, whether it's a 964, 993, and that's what holds strong. And the 356s that we love and my dad cherishes, fortunately they're softening up. And in terms of other vehicles, I'm not involved too much into them anymore. The market's everywhere for these other cars. I would say always invest in Porsche. It never let me down, and it probably won't let you guys down either.
Perfect. All right, well, let's get to it. Let's test the metal. Let's get to some predictions. Right. We made predictions on the last episode. Now, most of these cars closed before the stock market started to get really rocky, but let's go over those results, see if we can figure out any connection to what's going on in the market, and then we'll make predictions on cars that are coming up to close this week. What's the first car on the list from the last episode, Michael Deep?
All right, JP, we opened the show with a 2023 Porsche 911 Sport Classic. Is what we opened the show with. Do you want to jump to that?
Yep. Now, let's just go with the, since I've already got it up on the screen.
Right. Okay, yeah. So we're going to circle right back then to the 2004 Kraftwerkz LMK 917. So, Ali, this was a kit car that somebody made, and they used a 964 motor that was rebuilt by Jerry Woods to 3.8-liter spec and featured individual throttle bodies. So we're talking about a 350 horsepower, air-cooled flat six in a 917 kit car. Now, I haven't seen too many 917 kit cars, but this car looks pretty damn good for something that basically somebody fabricated in their own garage. The car is on a bill of sale and listed on P-Car Market out of Sandbury, Ohio. When we were covering the car, Ali, it was at like $60,000 on like 12 bids, and there are no comps to go on. So we had literally no idea what we thought this car would go for. With that in mind, Classic.com says that a real 917 is about a $2.9 million car. I guessed from 60 grand that this car would hammer for about $150,000 on P-Car Market, and I had no idea if it would sell for that number or wind up in the deal tank. JP, my partner, took the over. JP's bid was $160,000. And then we had a guest in studio, our good friend Rami. Rami joined us in studio. He really liked the car, but his bid was more tempered than the two of us. Rami came in at $139,000. So, Ali, we're going to just put you on the spot and ask you, what do you think this kit car would have hammered for on P-Car Market just the other day?
Well, it's my first time seeing something like this, so it's absolutely crazy. When you first talked to me about it, I would say $150. I would assume just because of all the labor and work and the motor.
Yep.
But it's a kit car, so I don't really know. Sometimes it's a hit or miss with those cars.
You're exactly right.
You have a what is it? A Ford GT40 kit car at the dealership, or you guys did?
I don't want to talk about that car. I don't want. I
hate that car.
That reminded me too much of that GT40, and that's why I didn't want to talk about it.
Kit cars can really be a bane. So okay, this is the show. You got to give it a number. Give us a number. It's like Price is Right.
Yeah, go up.
You brought up the GT40 now.
Yeah.
You brought up the GT40 now, so I'm going to say 120.
120. There it is. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Well, Ali, like the rest of us, we were all wrong. This car crushed it. Our car hammered on P-Car Market just the other day for $287,500, where it's sold on a whopping 43 bids, which is a really good bid count. And it's sold under hammer. I should say, I said P-Car Market, but it's Bring a Trailer. So this was on Bring a Trailer. So there you go, folks. $300,000 to get this car. And JP, I'll go out on a limb and say the Jerry Woods 3.8 is $100,000. And I doubt you could buy this kit car and paint it and do the livery for $200,000. So this car, JP, just by the numbers, was stolen. So really well sold and really well bought. There you go. Any reaction to that, John?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, and we always talk about, or not always, but we cover fairly often replicas. Ali mentioned the 356s. He was talking about real ones. But every now and then we find a really nice replica, or like that 904 replica, the Beck replica, that was actually built for Chuck Beck, and it was the car he built himself with a GT3 Metzger motor. We all thought that car, I mean, that's the kind of car that would cost you $2.5 to build, if that, maybe even more, and we all bid accordingly, and that car barely sold for $130. So to see this car break the 200 mark by a significant amount really does surprise me, even though I think, frankly, the car is worth it. You can say that this, a real one is 2.9 million or 2 million or whatever the number is. Same thing with the 904. Real ones are in the couple $1 million range, yet the 904s consistently only bring about 100 to 130, even the nicest ones. So what do you think, Ollie, now that you've heard that result? How surprised are you?
I'm pretty surprised. It's always a hit or miss with those kit cars. That's why I could have never got that number. I would have never thought about that number either. It's a crazy looking car. But so was my GT40, and I've sat on that for almost a year until I finally sold it. So I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm glad the GT40's finally gone. Sorry to bring up a sore spot. Let's move on. What's the next car on the list, Mike Adib?
All right, JP. Now we will circle back to the 2023 Porsche 911 Sport Classic that was on P-Car Market. Our car was showing just 672 miles from new, and was located in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, we know that they only made 1,250 examples for the world. I imagine there's probably 700 or 800 of them here in the States, but that's still a very rare car by the numbers. What you're looking at is a beefed up, or I should say slightly detuned turbo with rear-wheel drive and a manual transmission. And they come in these beautiful colorways, and a lot of people did a lot of, CXX options when they built these cars. So, JP, these cars don't just hold their value. They've been investment grade, and they've been bringing way more than sticker. We know that the MSRP on this car was around $280,000. But according to our friends at classic.com, the average selling price for one of these in the secondary market is $500,000. JP, I thought this car would do pretty well. Having under 1,000 miles and being that sport gray, which was the launch color of the Sport Classic from the 997 generation, I thought this car would still do pretty well. I said $460,000. Now, JP, you took the under. Your bid was $420,992. And Rami Mirza, who was in studio with us, split the difference between us. Basically, Rami came in at $439,000. So, Ali, initially these cars were bringing $500,000, but all of our bids are way under that. This car still has under 1,000 miles, and it's available. What do you think this car would have hammered for on P-Car Market?
Man, you're asking the wrong guy for these newer Porsches. I don't keep in touch with these. Yeah. I'm going to pass on this one, but
just throw a number.
Go to a number on my head.
Yeah.
What's it worth? 350, 400?
400. 400 is a good guess, and you would be very close. JP, however, almost got a Yahtzee. JP's bid, to remind everybody, was $420,992, $992, get it? And the car hammered for $422,161, which I don't get it, but there you go. It failed to sell at that number. However, the update is that an offer has been accepted out of the deal tank at $430,000. Now, the game is to guess the hammer, and JP, you missed a Yahtzee. I don't know how you missed a Yahtzee with that number, but you did by just a couple $100. But P-Car Market has gone ahead and sold the car. So what we're looking at is a true, like an ACV for this car is about $430,000. Now, JP, according to Classic, these cars have been selling for $500, but now even the Sport Classics are softening. Is that the overall market? Is that a reaction to the tariffs? What can you read, as I'll tell Ali, what does grandma read in the tea leaves of the cup, right? Or the coffee grounds from the Turkish coffee?
The coffee grounds,
yeah. Say, be the soothsayer, JP. Is the market, like, are we in trouble? What's going on? That's 70 grand off.
I mean, look, a lot of people are talking about prices going up as a result of tariffs. This is something, when it comes to talking about tariffs, I don't think anyone really knows what the heck is gonna happen. There are people that seem to understand what the plan is, but one thing that seems to be the most consistent when I see conversations or when I hear conversations about tariffs is that half the people talking about tariffs do not understand what they are, regardless of whether or not you agree with them. But the fact is, tariffs, a lot of people think that if there's a 25% tariff on a German car, if you roll down to your Porsche dealership to buy, I don't know, a Cayenne for $100,000, that there's going to be a line item on your invoice for another $25,000 charging you that 25%. That is not how tariffs work. Tariffs are a tax on imports. So on the wholesale price. So the tax is paid by the importer. You've got the manufacturer, i.e. Porsche, is selling their Cayenne to Porsche North America. That's the wholesaler. Then Porsche North America sells the cars to the dealerships, and then the dealerships sell them to us as the retailers, right? So that 25% is the fee that the importer is going to pay to, in order to import that car. So if the car is, if Porsche North America, let's say they pay $70,000 for a $100,000 retail Cayenne, they're going to be paying the 25% on top of that $70,000. The fee, that tariff, gets charged to the importer. Now, that doesn't mean that the seller, the retailer, is automatically going to pass that entire increase in cost off on the retail buyer any more than it would if, because like a lot of these imports that are tariffed are things like raw materials, like a ton of steel. I have no idea how much a ton of steel costs, but let's say it's $1,000 a ton. The 20% tariff on Japanese steel would be charged to whoever imports that steel, and then they would build cars or washing machines or watches or whatever the heck that they build out of that steel. But that would be an increase in cost that they would have to then factor into their price later. But remember, price is determined by supply and demand. So all that said, I think cars like this, these really expensive, high-end, limited edition cars that Porsche retailers have gotten used to charging above the MSRP to their customers, I think that's where where we're gonna start to see some actual decreases in prices, because the price to the dealer is gonna go up a little bit, which is gonna raise the price. Which, if you raise the price on anything, you lower demand. So that means there's gonna be less meat on the bone for dealers to charge these overages. So I think these special cars are going to be a little bit easier to get. And I think this car going for under what they were going for just 3, 4, 5 months ago, by a significant margin. I mean, that's a good, $70,000 lower. I think that is something that we're going to see going into the next quarter or 3, probably well into 2026. That was a mouthful. What do you guys think? Ali, what do you think of that? Does that sound legit to you, or am I totally off base?
No, you sound about right. We'll have to see how the market plays out.
Yeah. All right, especially with these modern cars, and I'm with you, Ali. I like everyone on this panel prefers the old stuff, but we do like to talk about the new stuff just because it is relevant to the market. All right, let's get to some numbers. What do we? We need to move on, right? Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
We're done with that one.
Let's
do this last one really fast, and then we'll get to predictions.
Two more quick ones. So 2008 BMW M3 Convertible on Cars and Bids. This car had 69,000 miles and a manual transmission out of the Bay Area here, out of Antioch, California. JP, according to our friends at Classic.com, these cars bring $28,000 with a manual in the secondary market. I thought our car would hit $23,000. JP, you took the under at $19,999. And Rami gave us a bid of $22,500. So Ali, black on black, manual convertible with about 70,000 miles on Cars and Bids. What's your bid on that car?
25.
25's a
$25,000
good
maybe. Hopefully.
25's a good bid if the car had better photos and was on a better platform. Our car hammered for $19,350 where it failed to sell on 22 bids. I'm guessing that the owner wanted the money that Ali was promising, but he didn't find it on Doug DeMero's site. JP, let's just move on from that, and we'll jump right into the 1971 Alfa Romeo GTV 1750. Ali, this car has a beautiful paint color that we rarely see in the States. We see all these beautiful purples and reds and blacks for this car, but we rarely see this beautiful green metallic. Somebody built the motor to 2.1 liters, so it's a big 2.1 stroker with a twin spark. This is probably a 200 horsepower motor and a premium paint job in the olive green metallic. Listed on Bring a Trailer out of New Britain, Connecticut. Our friends at Classic.com say that 71 GTVs with a 1750 are $48,000. I figured the motor would carry the sale. My bid was 75 grand. JP, you took the under at just 55 grand, and Rami bid over me at 78. Ali, I'm sure you've sold a handful of Alphas in your time. What do you think of this pretty color with the hot rod motor GTV on the East Coast?
I sold a few of them. Most of them were in the 40 to 50 range. Now, one modified like this looks to be really nice, and that color is amazing. Definitely see it break 80 grand for that kind of condition.
Ali, you would have been the closest. You would have won. Our car hammered for $115,000 where it sold on 38 bids. We all underguessed that one. Man, oh man, did this guy do really well, JP. So there you go. JP, let's go to commercial because we're going to try and squeeze in a few new predictions before we shut it down.
All right, we'll be right back. Stick around. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, we are looking at our watch from Our Smiths. Look at that. We've got our Aviera watches on. I know Michael Deeb has his. There it is. Those are looking really fine. We got to get Ali an Our Smiths watch. Ali, you like watches? You like Swiss watches? You seem like the kind of guy.
I'm always under a car, so can't wear it. I'll damage them.
Well, if you did have one and you damaged it, you could send it to our good friends at Our Smiths up in Idaho. Anthony Vieira sponsoring the show, also the builder of these fine Swiss watches. Anthony is your man when you have a fine Swiss watch that is in need of repair. Give him a holler. And, of course, our good friends at Classic, Godden Classic and Porsche Henderson. I've got to update the commercial. We're still saying Godden Porsche, which they're still part of the family, but we have been mandated to talk about our friends at Porsche Henderson. Porsche Henderson is the new store that's opening up on the 17th. We will be there for the grand opening. Very exciting stuff. All right, we are going to get to some predictions. This is really where the rubber hits the road. Ollie, are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I like it. All right, what's the first car on the list? Michael D., what do we got?
All right, JP. According to our first car, the rubber will hit the trail because our first car is a 1988 Porsche 911 Carrera Coupe, a G50 coupe that has been basically it's transitioned to a safari car. This car identifies as a Subaru. Anyway, there you go, JP. 52,000 miles on the odometer, still running its 3.2 liter, albeit with some nice heat exchangers and an exhaust system and a Steve Wong chip. We got some fancy LED headlights. And a PCCM head unit, so the Porsche Classic radio, which is really nice. So you got the Bluetooth and all your Apple CarPlay and all this other stuff. But the big news is the money that they spent, JP, on the suspension to get this car sort of off-road and down the trail. This car looks really pretty in this color, which I am not familiar with. It says repainted beige.
It's a Toyota color.
It looks right. I mean, it's a little bit like chalk.
That's what the ad says. It's actually a Toyota color, specific Toyota color. Yeah,
Dune beige. So there you go. So a great back date. JP, look at the fancy what do you call those things? The push bars on the front and back. The car's got a roof rack with a spare tire. I'm looking at a rear, Carrera wing and a rear window wiper. There's a lot to like on this car. JP, did you notice those are the 964.2 sport mirrors as well? There's a lot of little touches here, a lot of things to like. I think the car's got a very good fit and finish. Some nice custom touches on the inside. JP, I think this car should do well. It closes tomorrow. It's on the right platform. Talk to me about what you see when you look at these assets. I feel like they're a little weak. I get what he tried to do, photograph it up at the cabin, but is it enough to break $100,000 with this car? What are we looking at? JP, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I really love this car. I love Safaris. We've talked about them quite a bit, but it's been a minute since we've covered one. And since there's been so much of a shift in the market and a lot of other air-cooled car kind of sector here, this car I thought was a really nice example of a well-done Safari build. Obviously, completely repainted. Everything was really gone through here. The top end had a rebuild. This car is fresh and ready to go if this is the kind of thing that you're into. I'm just wondering if right now this is the kind of car that's going to bring any real money. Will this seller get all the money that he put into it out of the car like maybe he would have a couple of years ago when these were the hot thing? I think right now everyone wants fresh, clean, really good, you call it purist examples, cars that haven't been modified, cars that are more blue chip. I think those are the cars that are bringing the big money, stuff like this. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with a car that is very hip when you have things like a crash in the crypto market. Ali, we're not ready for numbers, but what is your opinion or what is your take on Safari 911s, and what do you think of this one in particular?
I'm not against Safari 911s. I think if you give it a good touch, people will like it. It'll seclude itself from the other cars. So I think there is a market, and I think the market's still there for them. I think this one doesn't. Just looked at an accident report on Carfax and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, these things are all going to affect. Why would someone take a $50,000 G50 and do that? I'm not sure, but still a nice car. I think still going to bring in some good money for the guy. Someone will enjoy it. There's a market for these cars.
For sure.
Yeah,
all right, Deep, what's it going to bring?
All right, JP. So again, some nice touches, JP. This car also has limited slip differential and air conditioning. So there you go. And I kind of agree. It is a good question that Ali brings up. Just despite the accident on the Carfax, why would you donate a G50 with just 50,000 miles? That would have been a $100,000 car if it was left alone. Then you spend all the money on the Safari, and then you wonder, do you hurt the overall value of the car, or have you enhanced it? JP, our car closes tomorrow out of let me read it to you again, Sisters, Oregon, and the car is at $47,000. That comes to us by way of 17 bids. John, according to our friends at classic.com, the average selling price of a modified G50 is typically $95,000. I don't know how I fault that number for this car. I think more money has been spent here than is going to be recouped. This is probably, the Safari and the paint job, the makeover alone, it could easily be $50,000 in the makeover, if not more. I just wonder if they're going to break $100,000, and I don't think they will. I'm going to actually stick with Classic's average and give you my bid of $95,000 for this car. And I don't know if it sells for that. This guy could be looking for 130 or more. But not with these assets, not without doing a little more to tell us who did it and how it was done and what was used, which I don't see readily in the ad. So JP, $95,000 to you. I'm sorry, it's not worth more to me. What are you at?
Yeah, I want to love this car, but I'm with you. I think it has the potential to get up there and maybe even break the six-figure mark, but not with these lousy assets. You've got to pay someone to sell the romance and sell all of the extra whiz bang stuff that you spent money on to make this car such a cool thing. If you're not going to let your potential buyers know how special this car is, how are they going to know? Who's going to tell them? BAT ain't going to do it for you. They might write up in they give you a nice little bit of ad copy and stuff like that, but people really don't pay that close attention. They pay close attention to the assets, the pictures, the videos, the photos. I want to see a video of this thing tearing through the snow on one of these trails. This car is in the right place. It's in the Northwest where you could really make this car look fantastic. I think it's going to be a letdown. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go 89, 911 and hand it off to Ollie. What do you think this car will bring?
Ollie, what's your bid?
It's got to bring at least 90. That's what I'm thinking. I think someone will enjoy it the way it is. I've seen a lot of people selling these that aren't G50s, and they're still bringing in quite a bit of money. So with a G50, he could have taken better photos, like you guys said. Maybe he wasn't too familiar with the platform he put it on, but it should bring in 90 up.
Is anybody giving the guy a hard time in the comments, or is he going to call Ollie and go, "I give up. Everybody hurt my feelings." I'm just going to sell it to him.
Yeah. We'll see that car. We'll buy this car. Ali can get 120 for this car easy all day long. But let's still start with me. And just a couple of bids from the herd. Tasso is our big believer. Tasso is at 128,000. Carbine's at 100. Gerd, I think, was at 102. Ali, do you remember Mikey V from Monterey? He's at 105, of course. And he says hi to you. So there you go. All right. So Ollie's got friends in the herd. JP, shall we move on and go to the next car? Where are we at?
Yeah, before we move on to the next car, I just want to say too that my bid is I think people are going to be a little pearl clutchy this week. I think depending on what the news looks like Monday at noon Eastern is going to really determine what the auctions are going to look like at 2:00 in the afternoon on BAT. If we see another 2,000 points go down in the stock market, I think you could see people really freaking out. Whether or not they should or they shouldn't, that's a different conversation. And but I think that kind of stuff is going to affect the values of cars. And honestly, I think we're going to see some rallying this week. I think the stock market is going to probably be, for the next quarter, honestly, is going to be bouncing like a ping pong ball all over the place. So lot to be said. What do you guys think? Let us know what you think. I'm curious to see what the nerds think, the nerd herd, about the market and how it will affect prices. Yes, let's move on to the next car. What do we got?
All right, JP, our friends at Three Pedal Posse brought to market out of Bend, Oregon, this kind of a unicorn of a car, JP, a 2011 Porsche 911 Carrera GTS coupe with a 6-speed manual and just rear-wheel drive. This is a car, JP, that has, despite being sort of the most expensive 997 that doesn't have a Metzger motor, I still think these cars are a ridiculously good value for how much performance and how great the engagement is for the driver and the car. The driving experience of these is really fantastic. Again, short of a GT3 or a turbo from the same era, this would be the next best thing. And this car has been enhanced by some personal friends of yours, and they've made it a real looker. So it's got kind of a cosmetic makeover with some fancy Fuchs-style wheels. There's some graphics there. They've got the 997.2. This was the first fixed back carbon bucket that was available in the United States. They have some custom inserts to kind of go with a throwback Pepita style. It's a manual transmission, cocoa mats, fancy headlights, racing shifter.
Sorry about that, guys. Hit a button.
Yep. PCM, let's see, includes PCM 3, navigation, Bose sound system, cruise control, automatic climate control. I mean, there is a lot to like here, JP. DSC suspension control module, some super big tires. There's 325s in the rear, and Continental Extreme Sport contacts. Those are tires I have put on all of my last few cars, so I really like those tires. GT3 brake master cylinder, stainless steel brake lines. It just goes on and on and on. Everything is in there to refurbish the car and enhance the driving experience. This car has some look as well. I don't think you're going to surprise anybody when you've got bright, orange metallic wheels, but still, I think this is such a great driving car, and wind up being a tremendous value. So on Bring a Trailer, listed out of Bend, Oregon, showing 99,000 on the odometers, but I think that odometer is kind of nullified by the fact that everything on this car has been replaced and everything's been upgraded. So there you go, JP. Let's see what 3-pedal posse and some really nice photographs can do for this 997.2 GTS Coupe manual. JP, tell us a little bit more. Do you know more about this car? Were you aware of this car before it came to market? Did you know whose car this was?
Yeah, this is Buster Rib, Jim up there from 3-Pedal Posse, very good friends of ours. We all know Mauricio has been on the show. We'll probably get Jim on next episode, right, Jim? You're going to come on, right? And
Let's
talk
go.
about the results when when this thing closes on Wednesday. This car. Look, Jim always has he has really good taste. He always modifies his cars. I've known him for years. I knew of him before I even met him when he used to be on like the Ren List forums and Pelican forums all the time. And he was one of those people that I interacted with and didn't realize was someone that I actually kind of knew and was in my neighborhood. Everything he's done to this car is really trick, right down to the kind of cool ground effects trim that he's got below the rockers. I don't love these wheels. I think it's the stripes, I would prefer this thing just to be all black and be done with it. But the fact is, this car is relevant. The reason why I think this car is extra relevant to today's conversation is because this car comes from an era of Porsche when there was a big downturn in the economy. 2011, the economy was still kind of just getting back into motion after the 2008 crash. And Porsche, consequently, they always reduce their numbers of the higher end cars, like the 911s, the cars that people really want. So when you go out and look for a .2 997 GTS with 3 pedals, good luck. You're going to have a very hard time finding one because Porsche made so few. They do that to keep the supply low and price high, even when demand isn't there for big numbers of cars. That's just their shtick. They've been doing it forever. And now that we're looking at the potential for some rocky months ahead in the economy, I suspect Porsche is going to do the same thing with the higher demand models in order to keep the prices high. So back to this car. This car is a really great car. They didn't make a lot of them. Ali, what do you think of the 997.2 GTS? What do you think of this one in particular?
Looks very nice. I think the wheels are a nice touch. I don't know how that does. I feel like on Bring a Trailer they like these things, but is that the miles are considered high, right, for what this car is?
Yeah.
99,000.
High miles. 99,000 is a lot on the odometer.
They didn't make very many of them in manual, but I think someone will like it at the right price. And I think you put it in nice photos and it's ready to go.
Steve, what's it going to bring?
All right, JP, according to our friends at classic.com, the average selling price of a 997.2 911 GTS coupe manual rear wheel drive, it's a high number. It's $103,500. JP, our car is off to a very good start. Despite not closing for another couple of days, our car is currently sitting at $65,000. $65,000, and that comes to us by 15 bids. JP, this car does have a minor accident reported on the Carfax. The damage report is minor. However, it's sitting there. JP, 65 grand, 105 is basically the average. I think the modifications and the good assets are going to carry the day here. I do think this car breaks $100,000, and I'm going to give you $112,997 because, again, there's not another car that looks like this. And if 2 people decide they love it, I think my number's in play. So, JP, where are you at? I'm going to go super high on mine. I'm going to go 112,997. Don't tell me how ridiculous the number is. Tell me you found another one that looks this nice and has that many receipts for all the work that's been done to it. And that's what I'm going to stand on while I clap for myself and I get a Yahtzee. So, JP, 112,997 to you. Where are you at?
Well, I hope you're right for our friend Jim and the 3-Pedal Posse crew. This car deserves to do well, but I think with that kind of miles, there's just no way this thing breaks 100. It's a fantastic car. It does have pop. regardless of whether or not I like the wheels or not, who cares? Wheels are very easy to change. Someone who wants a GTS 997, like I said before, is going to have a very hard time finding one. And when they do, they're going to have to settle for something, either a color that they don't like, or maybe maintenance records that they don't like, or maybe some higher miles. This one has maintenance. This one is a great colorway. This one has checked a lot of boxes, but the only box that is a negative on this is too high miles. I do think it is a good thing that he is selling this before it breaks the 100,000 mile mark, because that would be really difficult. But I think anyone looking at potentially buying this car is going to go, gosh, I drive this to get a cup of coffee and I'm going to be over that 100,000 miles. So this car is probably going to have to be a long-term purchase. I'm going to say $89,997 and hand it off to Ali. What do you think?
Ali, don't listen to my partner. You know those are $15,000.
I don't want to be right on this one. I don't want to be right on this one.
$3,000 rims. Ali, bid with your heart. Don't listen to my partner. He's always negative.
I know, but mileage is everything. I mean, even if you have all the records, unfortunately, when it comes down to retailing a car, everybody looks at the mileage. Even though sometimes the low miles ones are trashier,
especially
than the
modern
higher miles. But like he said, I mean, you could buy a nice one for 120 with low miles, significantly low miles. So I'm not sure. I think it's just shy of 100. I'd put it at like 95. Unfortunately, I hope the best for him though.
Yeah.
I bet you Ali wins this one. Very good. All right, there you go, JP. We got time for one more?
Sure, we do. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we got plenty of time. We got lots of time. We're good. Let's move on.
Right,
what's the next car on the list, guys?
JP, we couldn't get OJ on the show, but we got his car, a 1996 Ford Bronco XL. This looks from the outside like the OJ car, even though this is 2 years after the crime, I think. JP, our car is listed out of Snellville, Georgia, showing 123,000 miles on the odometer, and our car is listed on Doug DeMiro's Cars and Bids auction site. The big news here, JP, 5-liter V8, all-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and a 5-speed manual transmission. Of course, the OJ look with the white paint, but our car, JP, has a blue interior, which I can't remember seeing one of these with the blue interior, and I'm not saying I like it. It's pretty ugly. But we haven't done a Bronco in a while, and just seeing a white OJ with a manual, I thought, why not? Let's throw a boomerang into the show. JP, I'll let you take it away. You know these cars. You're from the Pacific Northwest, and you know these vehicles better than I am. This was the last year for this generation. Is there any merit to having one of the last year cars, or is it just like good riddance, be done with it? If this
well,
is what
I mean,
want,
they didn't change a whole heck of
manual.
a lot, but this is a really cool truck. These have definitely come up in the last few years. It does fit into that young timer, classification. Anything in the 80s, 90s, that era is what's hot right now. This car definitely fits in the Radwood era, and it's very rare to see one of these with 3 pedals. It's funny, Deeb, you say, I've never seen one with a blue interior. I don't know if I've ever seen one that didn't have a blue interior or red interior or some weird color. They are all Ford of this era always had one bad color in the interior, and it was everywhere. But this one seems to be in decent shape, and what I like about it is that it's like, I don't know, it's what do they call that? Not poor spec, but it's like it's got hardly anything, right? I mean, it's got the manual transmission, which would have been, less money than the automatic. It doesn't have the big, huge wheels. It doesn't even have, it has steel wheels instead of alloy wheels. There's just not a lot to this rig, and that's what I like about it. The big problem with a lot of these Broncos from this era were the automatic transmission. They blew up every 40,000 miles. So to find one with a manual is great. And I think this is the kind of car that you could put some cool wheels on it and clean it up just a little bit and really have an awesome, fun, old school Americana truck. And this is the kind of vehicle that you'll be able to get parts for, because most of the parts are probably still made here. There's not going to be big tariff numbers on any of this stuff. Of course, I'm probably wrong with that. Probably every replacement part in this engine bay is probably from India or something. Ali, what do you think of the Bronco a la OJ?
I'm a big fan of the Broncos, but I dealt mostly with the baby Broncos, those from 1965 until 66 until 1977.
Right.
These have always been around, in my opinion. I don't know if the market came up a lot since I last looked at them, but it's cool that it's a manual. I don't mind the blue, and I think someone would like to have it, you know.
Yeah. Are there any pictures of the dashboard without that dash cover? Someone brought up in the comments that I bet that dashboard looks like the Grand Canyon under that cover.
Yeah.
That or the cover saved it. One of the two, right?
There was there. That doesn't look bad.
Photo number 32 shows it, and the only thing wrong with it are the glued-on Velcro strips to keep that toupee on it.
There. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Very nice. What's it
going
to bring?
They recovered that bottom seat.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? All right. So, JP, according to friends at classics.com, the average selling price of a manual Bronco is $22,300. Our car is not doing well at the moment. It's only at $6,900 on 18 bids, and it closes tomorrow. We typically don't see a big rally from cars and bids. So, JP, I don't think this Bronco, despite being really clean on the outside, has any chance of making it to 20 grand. My bid is $14,000. Where are you at?
Does this car have a reserve, or does it say?
Yeah, it has a reserve.
Okay, so it does have a reserve. That's good because I think this car is not going to make reserve, whatever it is. This is Cars and Bids. Cars and Bids has been flailing. We've been talking about it a lot on the last few episodes. With the market being weird, I think the only place buyers are going to be is Bring a Trailer. I don't think any of the bottom feeders that hang out on Cars and Bids and B-Car Market are going to be buying anything. I don't think this car gets another $1,000. I'm going to say $7 grand and hand it off. And say that it's worth more, but I don't think it's going to sell. Ollie, what do you think this Bronco will bring, and what do you think of the platform? What do you think of Cars and Bids versus Bring a Trailer?
Well, of course, I think Bring a Trailer is a bit stronger than Cars and Bids, but there's a niche cars that you could put on Cars and Bids that Bring a Trailer won't accept. So for that reason, it's also a good platform. Now, in terms of what I was thinking 14 since it opened. I think that's a fair number for what it is being a manual, and
we'll go $100. Go a couple $100 over or under 14, since I already chose 14. Just pick a slightly different number.
Say 15.
15. All right. There you go.
That's
JP,
generous.
let's cut it.
That's
we got 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes. We're we're right there.
Ollie,
on the, yeah.
Ollie has to run. Ollie, where can everybody find you on Instagram or YouTube? How can they find you and watch? And where do they find you in Monterey?
Oh, we're just off the highway, right on Del Monte Avenue. And then you guys know how to find us. Just go to Dodi Auto. Just look up Dodi Auto on YouTube, Snapchat, any platform, social media, and we should pop up, hopefully.
Very good. Ollie, thanks for coming on and being such a good sport. It was great to have you as a guest. You did great.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah.
JP, you're going to stop by the shop sometime?
I've been there. I stopped by there during Monterey Car Week last summer, and I'm sure we'll have to come by and we'll have to do a special episode from there. How's that?
Sounds good. We'll see you guys.
All right.
Then.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Ollie. I'm gonna click you off. Have a great one.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right, JP. Should we do one more car?
Yeah, since we're still on. Thanks, Ali, for coming and joining us. What do you guys think of Ali joining us? That was really cool, having him come in and talk about a bunch of different stuff and make some bids. Also, just want to shout out to everybody. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you haven't done that already. And we're asking everyone to do everything. We're just asking the Nerd Herd to do all this work, but that's because we love you guys and we know you'll help us out. Go to the listings that we're talking about tonight and tell everyone that you saw the car and the listing analyzed on Bid Nerds. Tell everybody, spread the word, grow the herd. That's what the Nerd Herd is there to do. All right, let's get to one last car. What do we got?
All right, JP. So how about a 2012 Mercedes-Benz E63 AMG sedan? Now, JP, this generation of the car did away with the normally aspirated 6.2, and instead they have, I don't know the size of it, it's a 5.5 liter twin turbo V8 that makes 550 horsepower and a whopping like almost 600 pound-foot of torque. What's that number? 590. Now, JP, this car does have the AMG performance package, which raises that horsepower and raises the torque number to the numbers I gave you. It also raises the top speed. It removes the 155 mile an hour governor and allows a top speed of like 186 miles an hour. Our car is on Cars and Bids. It's out of Ogden, Utah, and is showing just 54,500 miles. JP, the car looks to be in mint condition, which would tell me that in that neighborhood, it was only driven seasonally and it stayed away from the cruddy weather that they get in the winter and on into the spring. The car looks like it's been pampered. It looks like it resides in a very nice neighborhood. And I'm just guessing that on Cars and Bids, this car is going to wind up being a really screaming deal. I mean, you're talking about, really sports car levels of performance in a sedan that'll kick a lot of butt, and the car looks basically brand new. But because it's a couple of generations old, I think this car is going to shock you for how low it could sell. So JP, any love for the AMG sedan? I know you and Rami have kicked around some C63s, but this is a little bit bigger platform car. It's a little more room and a really big motor. This is way more horsepower than the C63 had before Rami modified it. So what do you think? Any love for this car?
I mean, it's neat, and it's got tons of power, and it's going to put a smile on your face because of all that power that's going to hit the ground. This is definitely our friend Sahan Persian Pillow spec right here. If he needed a big, huge sedan, this would be the one. This is even kind of like, this is Rami spec right here. You can do a whole lot of donuts in this bad boy. What's it going to bring?
All right, JP. According to our friends at Classic.com, E63s typically bring $28,000 in the secondary market. Our car is sitting at just $19,250 on 17 bids, and it closes on April 8th, which is 2 days from now, right? That's Tuesday. So, JP, I think our car is going to do pretty well. I'm going to give you a bid of $25,063 and kick it over to you. What's your bid on the E63 sedan that closes 2 days from now?
And it's at 20 right now, or 19 and change?
1950, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be bearish, not just because the market is in flux, but because it's on Cars and Bids. I'm pretty much over Cars and Bids. I think everything's going to fail to sell there this week. Like I said on the last car, I think all the eyeballs are going to be on Bring a Trailer. This could be a good place to grab a deal. This could be a buy the dip situation, but I'm going to say 22 grand. I don't know if it sells at that, but I think that's what it gets to. I just think maybe a couple $1,000s more. All right, let us know what you guys think. And that is pretty much a show, guys. We will see you on Wednesday. We are trying to make some plans for our drive to Air and Water at the end of the month. If you guys want to come out to Vegas, maybe the weekend of the Porsche Henderson grand opening, that would be a good time. A lot of us are going to be here.
Thursday the 17th.
Thursday the 17th, yeah. My partner Michael Deeb will be here, and Persian Pillow, Sahan will be out here celebrating his birthday. So we're going to party it up that weekend here in Las Vegas. And then the following weekend, I guess we'll be heading down to, or maybe it'll be a week after that. I don't know. I can't do math.
Yeah, boys trip with Aaron Water.
That's
right. She's going to have a great time. She's going to have such a good time.
Yeah, I don't know if she's going to go. All right, guys, let us know if you're going to come with us, and shout out to our friends Porsche Henderson. Shout out to our friends Anthony Vieira at Our Smiths, and everyone else that's hanging out. The Nerd Herd, we love you guys. Thanks, and we'll see you Wednesday at our regular time, 6:30. Bye, everybody. See ya. Which button do I hit? Hey, guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer,